Welcome back to Comic Book ASMR. Today we're going to be looking at a Kickstarter that recently got fulfilled. This is the book, The Art of Ariel Olivetti. And so we're going to look at the art book, and then there's actually a few other items to look at as well from the campaign, including a previous book. I believe this was unreleased in the US or flew pretty low under the radar. So we'll go ahead and check this out together. So the artist is Ariel Olivetti. My introduction to him was through the Space Ghost DC series he did, and then again when he worked on Cable. So I really love his style, and so I loved that he put out a book collecting some of his great work. So you got a Green Lantern there and a Chewie. And a lot of the stuff I hadn't seen as well. I think this is a even earlier work for DC. So this was his first cover he did for DC here. And that looks like, let's see, does it say May 96? I can't scoot in too well there to see it. But it's definitely the earlier cover choice on there. Some Batman stuff. Yeah, I think it's interesting that he had worked in the field for so long, and I didn't find him until kind of later, a little bit later in his career. So yeah, he can do some interior work too, but what really speaks to me is whenever he does the full-on finished product. So yeah, here's a Space Ghost image here. And then a little bit of the interior. And he was saying Space Ghost was actually one of his favorite characters, so he was really excited to be able to work on it, as well as the Hanna-Barbera stuff that they were later asked him to do. And then I'm not even familiar with some of the Justice League Incarnate. I don't know what that is. Here's some more of his non-full interior work here. And Dr. Fate there. Black Adam. Oh, there's some Justice League covers there. He-Man. Here's a Spider-Man. Iron Man and Thor. Nice double page spread here. This is from 1998, huh? Yeah, so here's where I got reintroduced to his work here. And then he did a little stint on Punisher Warjourner 2, which I'm sure they'll show in here if I remember. But yeah, he said he modeled Cable's facial looks off of his grandfather. So that was kind of a cool thing that he was able to do. And then there's the iconic Cable #1 cover. And I just really love this series in general. I just really love the dynamic of, just kind of the tough person that Cable is, and rising to the occasion to become a father figure for hope and all that type of stuff. Really cool. Some Venom versus Wolvie action there. Yeah, I didn't read this run, but he did do some work with World War Hulk. I think this, whenever he came back, because I see, I think this is that Scar there? I don't even know. I think it is, or that could still be Bruce, I don't recall. But I know he had worked on that too for a little bit. I didn't read that though. I didn't collect Hulk at that time. Got a Man-Thing omnibus cover. Yeah, here's the Punisher War Journal stuff. So yeah, this took place after Civil War. So there was a stint where he tried to fill in for Cap Shoes, and he's fighting this white supremacist group, the hate monger and all that type of stuff. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know he was the person behind this meme image here of Spider-Man at the urinal seeing Hulk. And that was kind of funny. I've seen like they've done this with action figures too. And then here's some Star Wars stuff he had done. Conan. Not a big Conan person. The project did come with a signed large print of this image here, like an 11 by 17. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it though. But yeah, it did come with that. I think that was just, they threw that in. And then we see some Alien versus Predator stuff. This looks really cool. I want to find this and read it. And this was an old hero that they did here. The El Cazador. And he said when he did that, the Punisher reworked costume, it was kind of a nod to this character he'd done. He was kind of like a spoofed sort of gross out character where you see this image here of him on the toilet. So kind of like a bit of a Lobo-esque type of character. So in the 90s, four very young Argentine artists working on this book full of black humor and dark humor, you know. Acid social criticism and violent action. We had a lot of fun back in the day and we earned zero money. I'm positive that we created a character that made an impact and left a mark in a whole generation of readers. So this was big in Argentina, which is where Ariel is from. And a little bit of his backstory. He grew up not really surrounded by a ton of artists, but some cousins and stuff like that. This reminds me a lot of like the Beetlejuice image there. So he did this cover here. So this was like a big book for him growing up here, kind of like a heavy metal sort of science fiction comic book. Fierro, if I'm saying that correct. And so that was his first published work ever, I think. Yeah, he said he read that magazine every day. Frankenstein here. Here's some illustrated classics covers he had done. It's a movie poster he had worked on. Some more random stuff here. So brutal nature is what this section is. And I think this is what he's currently working on. The Christmas Bandits. Worked on some magic cards too, or maybe just covers. Savage Dogs. Okay, no, Savage Dogs is what he's working on right now. The masks remind me a little bit of Court of Owls, but just a touch, you know. The Death Dealer cover. Looks like a ripped Howard the Duck up here. Is it El Chapulín? An iconic character. And there's Ariel right there. So that's the main book here. And they did have a hardback version of this too, but I just chose to get this one because I wanted to get the other book. So yeah, this was a previous one he had done, and this one is about his life in general. And it's a bilingual copy, so when you're looking at it initially, it's all in Spanish. It's like, oh, I guess I got to do some Google Translate here. But, and I guess I kind of realized it later towards the back of it, and you'll see. But they have, they shrunk all this down and they translated it in English in the back and took up way less pages. So yeah, this was kind of like a not as widespread book, so you see a lot of the same images from the previous book that I showed you. Not all of them. Like this image here is new. But yeah, this talks about his life and his career. So, and when I read through the stuff in the back, it talks about, yeah, he grew up how, and then this here, this is a cover he did, and then he reimagined it here. So that's what that is. And then this is signed too. But yeah, he grew up in Argentina, not around a lot of other artists or anything, but has some cousins and stuff. They like to draw, but in the area, apparently risque content was banned in that country. And so him and his cousins worked on some very racy comic project and not having any idea really about like human anatomy or adult content, to put it mildly. So they drew collectively kind of like a misinformed body sort of art book comic. That's a cool apocalypse. And they kind of had it change hands. So it's like they collectively worked on this adult oriented book, and a lot of it was not very accurate. But he still has it, I guess, is what he's saying, but not the place to show it. I guess he just doesn't want to put that out there to see what it actually looks like. He did this cool Thor miniseries too I want to check out. And then I think about it, kind of like early 2000s, he was pretty busy in the industry, especially for Marvel. But not really working too much on ongoings, if not for maybe 4 or 6 issues at a time, with the exception of Cable. Yeah, so this is that Thor book. But yeah, so they just kind of had that change hands, and then I think, if I remember, he got his break in where he'd worked on one of those magazine covers, and then just kind of kept at it and kept at it and found more context. So this is showing his process here. So he does do like a physical breakdown first on paper, and then he'll scan it in, and then he'll work it in Photoshop. And he can paint by hand as well and all this sort of stuff. But this is kind of like, a better workflow for him. But yeah, in the back, this is all, everything that's here. They shrunk it down because at first I was like, well, this is the whole thing because I really don't want to miss out. But yeah, no, it's the entire book. They shrunk it down, and it's like it takes up maybe 15 or so pages, which is honestly pretty impressive. And I mean, I went back and I looked where it's highlighted red is kind of like the bumpers where it's red here and stuff. So it matches up 100%. I was really surprised by that. So yeah, you talk about inspiration from like Rembrandt and stuff like that, and just kind of wanting to do art, but never really having a lot of the support, with the exception of those few cousins, and kind of doing that secretive back room book, So just kind of cool. But if you don't know about Ariel Olivetti, I hope you do now, and I hope you seek out some of his work. And I want to go back and get some of his work too. I don't have a lot of it, honestly, if any of it, in print anymore, because of, moving the collection and theft back in the day and all that nonsense. But yeah, I do love his style, especially his fully polished style like this. So let me show you the other little items we got. So we got these fun little art cards. Here's a Batman and Mr. Freeze. And then you've got like the pre-render there. It's a bishop there. I don't know what this one is. Another one there. Got a few cards stuck together. There's that one. A little Star Wars one. Captain Marvel. A little Space Ghost. And the Space Ghost one is really cool. Like, it's actually a really dark take on the character. I highly recommend it. Avengers one he had done. And then there's a Conan. And then we got some prints. There's a Batman one. Fantastic Four. Space Ghost with Green Lantern. And then there's an X-Men one. So yeah, that's it. As I was saying before I suddenly remembered about the bonuses. Yeah, go find him. Check out his work if you're not familiar with it. You won't be disappointed. So yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what your first experience with Ariel's work was. And as always, you all have a super slumber. Thanks. Bye.